contest is scheduled for one fall. Please welcome Mr. Fretz.
Tyler, we love you. Over here. Okay, good, Tyler. Tyler, please take a photo. Look, everyone, it's Tyler.
Is it my eyes when you look at me? They are so gorgeous, they'll set you free. Could it be my walk or just my stare that makes you freeze when I appear? Super good looking, every hair in place. Everyone loves this gorgeous face.
Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 5 years as a podcaster, introducing Nate the Great!
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks that drives a girl wild. I've got the moves that really move them. I said chill up and down their spine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
I'm just a sexy Kurt. Sexy Kurt. Wait, are we
Sexy Kurt!
Are we singing the right song? Yeah, either way it works.
I'll make your ankle hurt.
Ankle hurt! We are back, ladies and gentlemen, after a 1 week hiatus due to technical difficulties. But we're back better than ever. We got a knack for making things better. Eric Bischoff, baby! This is the Game Changer Powercast, a part of Wrestle Addict Radio. I am NateFNGreat, being joined here by the Tyler Breeze to my Shawn Michaels, the one and only Mr. Fretz.
And even more appropriate, since Tyler Breeze is from the place that we are reviewing today. Yes, it is me, it is Mr. F-R-E-T-Z. And, yeah, we're still in the busy season here, folks, so apologies. Well, it is about 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as we record. And, yeah, all is well, my friend. How about you?
It's just been busy all week at work, but it's always fun to just sit down, talk with my friend about wrestling, and we're continuing the international trend. Unfortunately, we tried to start it off last week, but due to technical difficulties, we were not able to. But hopefully you guys enjoyed one of our flashback episodes to us talking about WrestleMania 15, I believe it was.
I think it was Rumble 99.
It might have been Rumble 99, or it might have been King of the Ring. Now I can't remember which one we even flashback to.
I listened to a couple minutes of it, and then I looked at the post that our lovely social media ambassador Kate Murphy made. Love you, Kate.
Yeah.
It's Rumble.
Oh, it was
and
Rumble. Okay.
I remember getting a little bit heavy about the chair shots.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. Well, at least we didn't have to worry too much about the chair shots in this international incident. Oops, spoiler. So, yeah, we're doing 1996's In Your House 9 International Incident. But before we get too deep into that, as per tradition, I should say, I wish I could tell that in English, we are going back in time. It's the Wayback Machine with Mr. Fretz. Mr. Fretz, what happened in this glorious year, around this glorious time?
Here we have July 1996. Mr. Fretz is 12 years old. He is about to go into 7th grade. This is the summer intermediary between 6 and 7. My interest in wrestling was definitely high at this point in time. I was renting movies from the local place where we could get movies. I've said this story before, the hardware store, small towns. And, yeah, we have here in video games, everyone is playing a game right now that in less than an hour from recording time will be on my Switch on a certain game compilation. everyone is playing Super Mario 64, and when I'm done this podcast, I'm probably going to be up until 3 or 4 in the morning playing Super Mario 3D All-Stars on my Switch. My Animal Crossing Island will take a back seat for a little bit because I'm still paying off that house. Also, we had here Star Ocean. I believe it was some kind of real-time strategy game along the lines of Command & Conquer that was released for the PC. In movies, we had Kingpin, which was a bowling comedy with Woody Harrelson. Harriet the Spy, Kazam, Shaquille O'Neal as a genie, and the most horrifying version of Pinocchio I've ever seen because it starred Jonathan Taylor Thomas as the titular puppet, and it looked awful.
Oh, God, I do remember that movie. I think I actually watched it during a... oh, gosh, what was it? I think it might have been before Oscars of last year. This is like my last Oscar deal that I did with VicTori Bell, who I've been in contact, by the way. Shout out to Tori. Love you.
Hi, Tori.
A lot of other stuff that you there. I mean, Harriet the Spy, that was a movie that I think was relatively popular during that time. I don't know. I mean, it had like a small following, but yeah, it was a kids movie.
Yeah, I never watched it. The only one I really remember out of there was Kingpin, although I hadn't seen it in quite some time. I might be mixing up the bowling parts of the Big Lebowski, but I remember this movie being halfway decent. But what wasn't halfway decent is finding out that one of the people who were supposed to be in the main event of this pay-per-view was fired. Shoot fired, not what Gorilla Monsoon said on TV. He was shoot fired.
Yeah, we're going to get into that because, I mean, it got us a good replacement, and hey, at least it's better than his years at another company, that wrestling show, as Triple H would like to call it. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Did we have anything else?
Don't disparage Psycho Sid like that. You know I love Sid.
Hey, I'm not disparaging him. I'm just jealous of the fact that he was half the man that I was, and he only had half the brain that I do.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, the GM place in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and yes, it is the hometown of one half of the NXT Tag Champs, Tyler Breeze.
With an attendance of 14,804 and a tagline of 2 hours of hard-hitting, high-flying, heart-stopping, pile-driving action. I'm pretty sure only one person hit a pile driver during this deal, but I could be wrong. Mr. Fretz, shall we dive into this?
Yes, we shall. I'll say the Vancouver, BC here. They were referenced at this point in time, but the Vancouver Grizzlies were among the newest franchises in the NBA at the time. I believe in their inaugural or second season, they came into prominence the same year as the 2019 NBA champs Toronto Raptors, who unfortunately bowed out to the Boston Celtics last week in a heartbreaker, but I hold my head up high for the Raptors. We have a title, so good for them there. The Grizzlies moved to Memphis, and yeah, this was good. I was going to say something here, but I know there's a former podcast out from Vancouver, BC. They did a review of the entire the Invasion era podcast, video stuff on Vimeo. I highly suggest checking them out. They're not a thing anymore, but hey, if we're talking about the Invasion, that's some good homework.
There we go. I will mention that there was one dark match that took place before the event, and it featured one Justin Bradshaw, soon to be known as John Bradshaw Layfield, with Uncle Zebekiah, I believe it is?
Zeb Coulter.
Is that seriously who it is?
Yeah, it's Zeb Coulter.
Holy crap, it is. It is Dutch Mantel. Defeating Savio Vega.
Oh, yes. They had I remember their rivalry at this point in time at Mind Games. The following in your house after SummerSlam, I believe they had a Caribbean strap match.
That'd be interesting. Maybe we'll have to go into that more. Maybe we'll have like an in your house extravaganza where we talk about some of the great matches and some of the great stipulations, and maybe even some of the dumb ones. But we'll get into that more later on. let's kick off the show with a tag team non-title matchup. Drat. Well, there's a reason why, and we'll explain more into it as the show goes on. I will say this is one of the few times that we go into the show with no hype package, nothing really to basically like go crazy with it. It was just one of those things where it was like, here's the show, we're going into it. Started off with a non-title matchup that featured the Smoking Guns with Sunny taking on the Body Donnas, Skip and Zip, and I knew that one of them looked familiar. One of them was indeed the late great Chris Candido, Mr. Skip.
And you know who the other one is?
Tom Pritchard, from what?
Yes.
Tom Pritchard.
You know. Yeah,
of course,
that's
brother
right. of Bruce Pritchard, formerly one half of the. Bloody hell! What was he called with the? I'm drawing a blank here. My goodness, this is such great content to come back to. I'm going to remember it later, but it was with Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, that tag team. Heavenly Bodies, God.
Oh. Yeah, I think I just pulled up Smoky Mountain Wrestling's on his deal, and it said the Heavenly Bodies is the first thing, but I didn't hear Gigolo Ray. I just saw Stan Lane in here.
Yeah, he was another former member from back in the day. Yeah, Smoky Mountain Wrestling is some good shit, pal. Chris Jericho and Lance Storm, the Thrill Seekers. That's all I'm going to say.
That is very true. So, what can we say about this tag team match? Well, honestly, the Body Donnas basically had an interview before the matchup even started where they were saying that they only need the fans, that they didn't need Sunny because Sunny and them were a thing at one point. But then Sunny joined up with the Smoking Guns, being Bart Gunn and Billy Gunn. Some of you might know that name as he goes just by the name of Billy in a certain Elite show. Just saying. But yeah, honestly, starting off the matchup, it's actually a fun matchup. You had the fast-paced style of the Donnas that were, doing arm drags, doing really quick moves. Absolutely just loved it. Then you had the power game of the Guns. They just complemented each other very well. If we wanted to see a tag team title match between the two of them, that would just be beautiful. And I'm sure there is more of this. I just need to find it. During the matchup, Sunny fakes collapsing, basically to lure Skip over, and she gets a quick shot on him, and then the Guns hit a double clothesline, and it's just one of those things where, of course, Sunny is just being not really heckled, but just drooled all over by one Jerry Lawler. What a shock. Oh gosh, there's so many moments where they're just talking about Sunny, and it's like, just okay, relax. We know she's hot. Also, Jerry Lawler, keep it in your pants. An amazing counter by Bart Gunn, where I believe it was Skip. He's going for a dive, but he gets caught into a power slam. Just that was great. I actually laughed at one point because it looked like they were going to do that tag team deal where. Do you remember the Team Angle when they used to do a deal where they got the one guy hung up on the ropes and one person just leaped over? It looked like Billy was going to do that, but then it looks like he couldn't get enough height up, so he just drops right back down. I'm just like, wait, what? What just happened? I think the referee was saying like, hey, no, you can't do that. And I was thinking, the way that Billy took it, that's just funny. That is just funny. The finish is really good too. I really enjoyed the finish, but before we get too deep into that, Fretz, do you have anything to add on here that you kind of enjoyed about this matchup? Because I will say this, I did enjoy this matchup more than the Enzo Cass and Revival matchup from NXT TakeOver, which is a shock, but I love the chemistry these guys have.
Yeah, they did. They had really good chemistry. A lot of people think, myself included, that the tag team division in early '96 was crap. I mean, you basically had these two teams, the Godwins and the Harris twins, on the main roster. And I think Techno Team 2000 was hovering around at that point in time. Tampa Bay just won the Eastern Conference Championship. Congratulations. But yeah, between WrestleMania and now, it was just the titles were being traded around between. It was the Body Donnas at WrestleMania 12, then the Godwins, then the Smoking Guns, and Sunny floated between all three teams. She was briefly with the Godwins, but it was mostly to use them to get to gold. Phineas, God bless Midian, falling in love with Sunny, just being like the, I hate this term, but simp, but no, that is short for simpleton, not whatever the internet invented for that crap. Yeah, but then it was, I love you, Sunny, but, and then you see the slot bucket. And the rumor in innuendo is that, Sunny wasn't very popular. And so Phineas comes into the locker room with the slot bucket and says, hands are clean, turn around, and, well, a roster that had Sean Waltman, you can imagine what was in there. Anyways, yeah, I enjoyed this. Sunny was popping the crowd, and possibly, I was 12, so things were starting to happen. I noticed here that Harvey Whippleman was the referee. I thought that was really funny. And I kind of love that when Sunny went down, she slapped her husband. I mean, she was with Chris Candido up until the bitter end, although Shawn Michaels was having sunny days at this point in time. Yeah, that's you don't need to go there. I wrote down that this Power Slam counter was beautiful, and in the interview, I wrote down, don't ask about Cloudy. They referenced someone named Cloudy. You don't want to know. Fair enough. Indie wrestler and drag. That's all you need to know. It was like there's Sunny and there's Cloud. It's not 20. It's not PC for 2020. I'll say that. I really loved the sidewinder counter because they were setting up for their tag finisher, the Guns, and Skip comes in with just a chef's kiss missile drop kick. Like Candido, God rest his soul, man, that kid could have been something. But yeah, it's his story is just so sad, and the fact that he was hopelessly in love with Sunny, and Sunny was not the best to him. Well, because she was promiscuous in front of him. It's just one of the sad stories is Candido. I loved him, and Sunny, I don't have favorable opinions about Sunny other than in 1996. Oh my God.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Dark Sides of the Ring Season 3 should definitely cover the Chris Candido story. He definitely deserves something out of it, and would be kind of interesting to hear what Sunny would have to say years later, if she regrets it or if she's still feeling like the what's the word we're looking for, promiscuous woman that she is today. We're not even going to go deep into that. But as you said before, that finish was just great. It's not something that we really see that much. I think that if there's some people that might say, like, oh, that was kind of a lame finish. I thought, hell, it was something that I kind of liked. It was a unique counter. You had a missile drop kick into a crossbody type deal. The Body Donnas win. And we see Sunny basically throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum, but she's basically saying, like, my boys are still the champions, even though I'm still mad. Which, in all honesty, Mad Sunny is something that I look at and just kind of chuckle at, because she looks like a 6-year-old that didn't get what she wanted at the toy store.
She is exactly that when she's mad. Speaking of the tag team titles, I don't know if it was here or if it was later, but there was a advertisement for a tag team title match between the Smoking Guns and Ahmed Johnson and Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. That is notable for a certain damn debut.
Oh,
Farouk in the Gladiator helmet jumps Ahmed Johnson, and Ahmed was having kidney problems, so that wrote him off for a few months. So once I heard that HBK, I knew it was happening because I watched that live. I remember that stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it is something that was announced later on, and one of the things that I loved how they build this was that, hey, they all had their, like Ahmed Johnson, Shawn Michaels, they defended their titles against each respective gun, and then it was like, it's only fair that the guns put their tag team titles on the line. It's like, somehow this makes total sense, because they're basically giving up their shot. They're like, hey, yeah, we'll put our titles on the line. That's going to be awesome. Well, now you're going to get a tag team title shot. Nice. Who were our partners? The other guy that beat him. Oh, this would be interesting. But it's Ahmed Johnson. Sweet. It's Shawn Michaels. Nice. This is going to be an awesome tag match. Oh my goodness, and speaking of hamming it up, let's talk about Jim freaking Cornette in this segment.
Yes.
Oh my God. Basically talking about how Camp Cornette is just going to win this match. In the background, you just hear Vader just going, ah, ah, ah. It's like watching Seth Rollins on a Smosh Games deal where he's just screaming throughout the entire deal. And Jim Cornette is so confident that Camp Cornette is going to win this matchup that he says, if we lose, I'll refund everybody's money. Everybody in the audience, everybody watching at home. That's going to put me like $7 to $10 million, to which I'm just like, I really want them to lose at this point, just to see Jim Cornette have to live up to that. British Bulldog's basically saying like, oh, I love the fact that my wife is here, but she's going to stay backstage. It's like, okay, that's fair. Then you got Owen Hart being Owen Hart. I don't need to say anything more than that. And then there's Vader, who's just like, Vader time. God bless you, Vader.
I looked at that team, and it broke my heart because they're all dead. And Jim Cornette, okay, Mr. Perfect interviewing them backstage was even sweeter, but Jim Cornette talking about Jose Lothario, who was like a former boxer or something, who was Shawn Michaels' brief manager during this run. Like, Jose Lothario, he pulled the switchblade on me! And, okay, regardless of how you may feel about Jim Cornette, he is friggin' hilarious. And yes, I listen to the Jim Cornette show, so I get my once in a while dose of James E. He's funny. And one of the best minds in the business, and I will die on that hill. Yes, he is a dick, but anyway, just Bulldog. I talked about Bulldog on something I'm going to be releasing a little later, but it's like, I thought this was one of the interviewers who was like, I don't give a frog's fat ass. Like, Bulldog I love his promos. He's so shouty and he's such a douche. Oh, Diana, you can stay back here, love. Like, wasn't you feuding with Shawn Michaels last month, and Diana was a part of it because Shawn was, being Shawn, but I love Camp Cornette. I absolutely love them. Vader's the best. Owen Hart and Davey, underrated tag team, man.
I totally 100% agree with that. So we move on to the next matchup, which is going to be Henry Godwinn versus Mankind. So, a little bit of a backstory to this. The original plan was to actually have Mankind versus Jake the Snake. What could have been? I mean, can you imagine that during, like classic time? Oh, jeez. The Mind Games, the two of them would have had Jake doing the deal with it. Oh, my God. I want to fantasy book this so much now. What could have been Jake the Snake versus Mankind? I think I can do it. I got
up on Patreon.
I think that's going to be a project for me now. What could have been Mankind versus Jake the Snake? Battle of the Mind Games. It's just going to be amazing. But unfortunately, Jake fell into some hard times during this run with WWE. So unfortunately, he could not make the event. So Henry Godwinn filled in for this matchup. A lot of Jake the Snake mentions by Jerry Lawler, which gets into what he's going to be doing at SummerSlam. And that's just making me more sad the more that I think about it. Before I hand it off to Mr. Fretz, I definitely want to mention this. I kind of dug the Banjo-Kazooie-like theme song for Henry Godwinn when he came out. I'm sorry, I was just waiting for the whole, like, just that. I'm sorry, man. I was just waiting for that to happen, but it didn't. I was kind of bummed about it, but it's like, well, at least I got something that was banjo-like.
Well, that's because copyrights, and it was this. Damn you, WWE, and your copyrights. You own that theme, don't you? Anyways, yeah.
Actually, I do want to mention this before we go too deep into this. Apparently, there is a rumor going around with Jeff Hardy that he actually signed a new deal with WWE on the condition that No More Words theme song comes back.
I think he wants that for when crowds are a thing, but y'all got some work to do. We do too. I mean, 300 new cases in Ontario. Ugh. Yeah, so Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy was conspicuous by his absence here. And I think Hillbilly Jim, and I don't know if I remember Hillbilly Jim and Phineas coming out with them at this point in time, but this was just a basic Mankind is going to beat you match. Although Henry Orpheus Godwinn, that's his full name, managed to get a few things in here. But Mankind did hit his face buster. He had an elbow, and he kept squealing, which I thought was more than ironic due to Henry Godwinn's initial theme. I'm listening to Cultaholic Classic Raw Review, and Henry O. Godwinn has just debuted in the timeline in late 1994. And his original theme was just like, bong, bong, bang, bong, wee, wee. Bit of pigs in the background, taking me back to my family butcher shop days. But Mandible Claw, and one thing I loved about Mankind's gimmick at this point in time was he had the psychopath, da, 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 and when when his match was over, he had that soothing piano music that was basically there to calm him down, and he would always get in the corner and rock back and forth like I am right now. And yeah, I'll raise your Mankind versus Jake Roberts with a Mankind versus Raven, which probably happened in ECW, but still, wow. Mankind, he was freaking me out. I was liking what he was doing, but you were taking out my Undertaker, so I didn't like you. But still, deep down, he had it. He was just about there, Mick Foley. So good.
No, definitely. Yeah, I basically described this matchup as like exhibition for Mankind. You mentioned it, Henry Godwinn got a couple shots in, but it was all Mankind. One Mandible Claw, boom, he's done, and that's about it. But otherwise, decent matchup. Not one of those things where I'm going to be like, oh, this is going to be on his best of hit series. No, it's just, it's a there matchup, but it definitely does put us in the motion for Mankind, especially going into the summer. Trust me, we're going to be talking about that in just a bit. But we go backstage to a split screen deal where they're talking about the 1-800 like WWF deal that you could call the WWF stars and talk about matches in there. I will say this, I did enjoy the fact that Sonny kept saying like it was a non-title victory. Non-title victory. Thank you. Just that. And then there's Pillman on the other screen with the Body Donnas on there just talking about double teaming Sonny, to which I'm like, damn it, Pillman. You could still do no wrong with me, Pillman. I find you vastly entertaining, and for some reason, him pulling a gun on Steve Austin is still one of his best moments.
A little side. Now that you talked about that, Mance on the Delight Show this week talked about going to that house where that angle took place is somewhere in Kentucky, not far from where he lives.
Oh wow!
He tried to find it, couldn't. But I thought that was good. But I called the WWF Superstar line, and you don't talk to them. It is pre-recorded comments. and I got my ass kicked and chewed out for calling that. So learn the hard way, like 1-900-909-90, something like that. Don't call 900 numbers, kids. If I don't think they even exist anymore, but it might be one of those sex single party lines now.
It probably is. I mean, 800 numbers are like helplines. 900 numbers, well, they'll help you, just in a different way. Wink, wink. Let's talk about probably the match of the night, in all honesty. You had the 1996 King of the Ring, Stone Cold Steve Austin, in all his royal splendor. Coming off of that, how is he going to do that? Why, taking on Mark Marrow, the Wild Man, with Sable in his corner. Now, one of the things that they hit on this matchup was the fact that these guys fought in the semifinals, and Mark Marrow actually did a pretty good job of busting up Stone Cold's lip with his signature roll-up maneuver, which they play a little bit into this, and I love it. But this is kind of how that matchup was kind of built up. So basically we have Mark Marrow at 100%, Stone Cold Steve Austin at 100%. Let's get it on! And I will say this, early moments in this matchup already got me invested in this matchup. It was very fast-paced, it was very strong-styled. The chemistry between these two was just absolutely phenomenal. Holy cow. I mean, early Steve Austin, Mark Marrow just was really good. And also, I think this is one of the few times I've ever seen Mark Marrow wrestle. Him as the Wild Man, dear God, this was awesome. So Mark Marrow goes for his signature pin, but Steve Austin kicks out and he's like, oh no, I got injured. Nope, he fakes the injury, which I've gone on to say, this is where the brutality begins, because Austin tosses Mark Marrow into the ring post, into the barricade, just beating him up endlessly until Mark Marrow decides, you know what, it's time for me to do some flippy shit. Does a nice little helo to Austin on the outside, as well as a moonsault. During this matchup, for some reason, Marlena, with her bellboy, just came out, gave a little message to Jerry Lawler. Giant question mark. Matchup continues, and it's just back and forth, absolutely great. But in the end, Mark Marrow gets caught up, gets hit with a stunner, not the stunner that we come to know and love, but the old-fashioned stunner where he just grabs him with a headlock and stuns him down onto his shoulder for the 1-2-3. Yeah, like I said before, possibly match of the night. I loved this. This was by far, this had no reason to be as good as it was, but at the same time, I don't have any regrets about it. It was awesome.
This was Johnny B. Bad versus Stunning Steve Austin on WCW Saturday Night on Turner. This was a match I believe they've had a few times because, so they both worked for WCW. But yeah, these two had great chemistry. Glass Shack. Oh wait, no, that is the Steve Austin instrumental theme without the heavy metal. A theme he would use until Survivor Series 96, until, well, I'm waving a glass in front of the screen in case you can't tell. I loved this, and Steve still didn't have his plain black trunks that weren't marketable, kid. They had his logo on them. So this was, I thought, it was a great match. It was a ring post spot. Steve hitting a move that, well, we saw Bret Hart do, and that was the second rope elbow. And I thought, well, was Steve using that as part of his repertoire, but were we foreshadowing an upcoming feud? There was a camel clutch where Steve was trying to make the Wild Man humble. A nice chop block spot here, and the distraction with Marlena and the bellboy. Now, Goldust used to have a little bit of a menagerie. He had, like, the bellboy. He had a bodyguard that was very temporary and was played by Mantar, if that's a name that you remember. I'm sorry, I'll show you sometime. Picture a giant fat dude in a bullhead.
Bullhead, jeez Louise.
Yeah, you might have seen it on like Wrestle Crap or Botchamania. It's out there. Yeah, it was him. He was also part of the Truth Commission later on. But these two, I said, great chemistry. Their match at King of the Ring the month previous was just as good. And what busted open Steve's lip, I think, was just a simple drop kick, and it must have just caught him hard way. And then he goes and gets stitched up and comes back, beats Jake Roberts in the final, and cuts the promo of his life. Just all of everything all wrapped up in this brief period. Yeah, Steve did win King of the Ring, but he didn't really propel until his feud with Brett. Because we go to SummerSlam, he wrestled Yokozuna in the free-for-all in a match that lasted 30 seconds because the top turnbuckle broke. Yokozuna falls back. Steve pins him. The next pay-per-view, he's not even on. And I believe at the October one, Buried Alive, he wrestles Hunter Hearst Helmsley in another great match in their early careers. So sometimes winning the King of the Ring isn't a good thing. I mean, look at King Corbin. What has he done in the past year?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Also, it's going to have to be another thing that I'll probably have to do a fantasy book for and do King of the Ring right. Do it justice.
Xavier Woods.
Oh my gosh. King up, down, down. That would have to be his crown. That'd be amazing.
His crown will just be like this. It's a controller on his head. Wait, turn it upside down. That's kind of crowny, isn't it? A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I could definitely see that. I want that to be a thing now. Even if he does that for his up, down series, where they just have like king or queen gamer of the deal, whoever. We move on to the next deal. We do have that promotion for the tag team title matchup. Go on to The Undertaker taking on Goldust. I'm just going to say this right now. One of the funniest things about this matchup is Goldust's attire, because it literally looks like he just rolled out of bed in his onesie and just decided, you know what, I'm just going to wear this today. That's
it's
really
supposed to be an Oscar statue, you know, right?
Oh, that's true. It still looks like a onesie, but I rest my case. So, honestly, guys, we're not going to waste too much time on this matchup. It literally was a situation where it's like a rematch for Goldust and Taker because they had a casket matchup, but a certain someone decided to interfere and cost Taker that matchup. So this matchup takes place. Goldust is doing a lot of delaying. He hides behind the referee. He basically is just making sure that the match is going in his favor. He sheds a turnbuckle pad off to expose it, and he does utilize it during the matchup, but Taker literally is just like, yeah, no, I'm just going to crush you. And he does. Gets a good choke slamming, gets the old school in, hits a tombstone, 1, 2, but hark, somebody popped up from under the ring. It's Mankind. He just grabs Undertaker, does a mandible claw, pulls him under the ring, and all we just see is just literally we're just in shock. Like what just happened? What? So Mankind comes out of the ring. He looks at the hole. We get like the theme music playing with a little bit of lightning, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, is he really gone? Is he really gone? And Paul Bearer's like, no, he's not gone. And the Undertaker just appears on the other side of the ring like, bro, I can do that too. So he just he's just beaten down on Mankind. They brawl backstage, just absolutely wrecking each other to a point where our camera actually just gets demolished. So we don't even know what happens during this. And it does evolve into a feud between the two of them, and the first ever Boiler Room match at SummerSlam. So lots to come when it comes to Taker and Mankind.
Yeah, this was more than a vehicle to set up their Boiler Room Brawl match, and their casket match actually took place twice because In Your House Beware of Dog is infamous for a storm taking it out. A severe thunderstorm took out the thing, and then they did the matches that were in the dark a couple of nights later as kind of a apology for the paying fans. So, yeah, I think Taker won the first one, and then Mankind came out on the one that people could see in. There was a tombstone, and Mankind emerges from the ring, and I wrote down, Vince used the word abreast. Yeah, and once I saw the Boiler Room, I'm like, this is where we're going. And this would be the last match, or second to last match on pay-per-view, that, for a while, that Uncle Paul would accompany Taker to. Uncle Paul.
Oh, that's right.
Because, of course, at SummerSlam, Earn, Smash, and Bearer sides with Mankind, making another interesting knot in the Undertaker storyline.
Definitely. We get a bit of a SummerSlam promo, which, in all honesty, dug it. I thought it was kind of cool. He even had like a deal where it was like, basically, it was kind of like a promo that you would see from the 2004 SummerSlam. If you've not seen the vignettes and stuff for that, definitely check it out. They're hilarious. Especially Eddie Guerrero trying to do a dash and literally cheating to win. It's just absolutely great. Also, Batista choke slamming a dude into the ground was just funny. There's a lot of good stuff on that, but it is basically like the prelude to what you would expect for that. We cut back, and basically Vince and Jerry and Jim Ross are all just like, oh, what did we just see? What's going to happen? You hear people in the background, or this one dude's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. And it wasn't until about 2 seconds after that, somebody just grabs a Burger King crown and, unbeknownst to Jerry, puts it on his head without him knowing for about 5 seconds too late. And the security guy catches him, and he's basically, no, don't do that. But as soon as Jerry Lawler he realizes, he grabs, he's like, security, Jim! And he's just crushing the crown. And I noticed like there was even one moment where the security guard was even chuckling at that moment. So it's good to know that everybody was having fun at Jerry Lawler's expense. It's fair.
Yeah, I pulled something like that at a hockey game once. It was a Ontario Hockey League, so it's what you go through before you come to the NHL. You're a teenager, so it was when I was in college. The Kitchener Rangers were going up against the Windsor Spitfires in the Western Conference Finals. Kitchener was up 3 games, so that means you win number 4. It's a sweep. I was the college's custodian at the time, and I procured tickets to this game, standing room only, right behind the glass. What do me and my friends do? We bring brooms. We sweep in front of the screen as Taylor Hall, who was playing for Windsor at the time, this is how long ago it was, every time he walks by. And then we were within feet of the Windsor coach. So when they walked past us, we were like, I looked at this, we were like, going to sweep the dust from behind them. The security guard's like, that's funny, but I threw someone out for doing something similar. Calm down. And then Kitchener lost in 7 games and choked.
Aw.
Yeah, it sucked. I'm an Owen Sound fan now because I live here. Who cares?
Oh, man. I will say this. I do love when people do bring up the sweep deal. It does remind me of one thing that obviously a lot of people will not talk about because of obvious reasons. That second best of 7 series between Booker T and Chris Benoit, where they were talking about the whole sweep deal at Armageddon. And Charmel, she's got the broom and everything. And everybody was just making this joke. It's like, man, I wish she would just take that broom and just fly away like the witch she is. And obviously, what ended up happening, certain someone won. We're going to say it was not Booker T, to say the least. He didn't get the sweep. Shame.
Steven Richards.
Steven Richards wins the best of 7. Oh, my God. Can you imagine that?
Wins the title in No Mercy. Wins the best of 7. Best of both worlds. Steven Richards is the GOAT. The boat, if you will.
He is the GOAT. And that's why he went on to get a doctor's degree and became Dr. Stevie in TNA. Probably less said about that one the better. Just saying.
But he was the head of a censorship, of a right-wing censorship group as well. So
that is true. So it's.
I'll take Doctor over. I'll take Doctor over that.
You know what? That is fair. That is fair. But let's get into talking about the main event. A 6-man tag team matchup which features Camp Cornette's Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Vader taking on Ahmed Johnson, Shawn Michaels, and the returning Psycho Sid. As we mentioned at the top of the show, it was supposed to be Ultimate Warrior taking Psycho Sid's place, but Warrior no-showed certain events. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you're not going to show up for your contractually obligated deals, you're going to get contractually released from that. Meaning, Warrior basically got fired. And who would be taking his spot? Well, Psycho Sid. And not Sid Justice, Psycho Sid. He's actually really awesome as this. It's really amazing. So, they get a deal where they talk about the matchup, go into it, and we get actually one of the moments that I actually forgot was a thing. When Shawn Michaels, he comes out, he's just high-fiving the fans. But at this event, one of the gate fields fall down. And people were going in. They were basically kind of touching Shawn. And Shawn was just kind of like, playing it cool. And then security's just like, yeah, you need to go back. You have to go back now. I actually did forget about that until Shawn Michaels did that. We see that. We see Team Babyface come in. We see Camp Cornette come in. Mr. Fretz, what did we see in this amazing matchup?
Well, leading up to this match, I had one of the most unintentionally hilarious things I've ever seen. It's another famous Psycho Sid botch or spot or whatever. They're fighting backstage. And then they're in a parking lot. You just hear, Sid just plows through in his car.
Oh my God, that's right.
He gets out of the car. I don't know why I found that so funny. I loved Psycho Sid. I've said I got a cat around this point in time, and I asked my mom's like, "What do you want to name it?" I'm like, "Well, I like Psycho Sid." She's like, "Take out the Psycho. We can name that cat Sid." And we had him for 9 years. I loved that. He was a black cat, and the reason why I named him Sid was Sid wore black trunks. I was a simple child. Anyways, they were referencing "Beware of Sweet Chin Music," and you see Sid in the background. Well, they were bringing up Psycho Sid and Shawn Michaels' past. You see, Sid, we all know, we wrestling historians know that Sid was Shawn Michaels' bodyguard following the split up between him and Diesel. Following WrestleMania 11, Diesel would turn on Shawn, 5 power bombs, ride him out for a while. So the animosity was in the air, obviously. So Jose Lothario was accompanying Shawn Michaels still at this point in time for some reason. And there was a spot here, there was a nickname here that, I don't know if you caught on, that they were calling Ahmed Johnson the People's Champion.
Ooh.
The Rock was definitely under contract at that point in time with Memphis Championship Wrestling, months away from his debut, actually. So he's probably taking notes. And then I wrote down here, again in sad face, that all of Camp Cornette has passed away. Sad. And this entire thing, mostly, was a SummerSlam preview, because we got Sid versus Bulldog, we got Michaels versus Vader, and we got, Owen Hart, versus Savio Vega. But I looked at that and say, that's 2 out of 3. That's not bad. And Vader's power game here was just bonkers. And if you want good power game, look up the match between Bulldog and Vader from WCW. Bulldog did the delayed vertical suplex to Vader. Like, seriously, Bulldog was deceptively powerful. Vader's bumping was really good at this point in time. And damn it, Cultaholic and OSW Review, but watch WWE from this point in time. Vince McMahon says unbelievable a million times. Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Just, I don't know if you noticed that, but go back and watch some early stuff. He's ruined for you. You're welcome. Yeah. There was a lot of Sid chants in the crowd. People were eating up Sid's antics, and there's also a lot of Owen chants I could vaguely hear throughout certain points here. Sid and Vader had been definitely teased. A little bit of a full circle moment here. Sid and Vader were tagging in WCW as the Masters of the Powerbomb against Davey Boy Smith and Sting at Beach Blast 93, complete with cheesy Thunder in Paradise-esque movies. Don't watch. Yeah, Bulldog with a nice suplex spot here. Sid no-selling everything. And the fact that Sean's head had been targeting throughout this whole thing is another full circle storyline with Owen Hart.
That's right.
Dating back to 95 with that Insecurity and Shawn Michaels collapse. You've probably seen that.
I did.
Yep, Power Slam. Sid hits a choke slam. There was a whole bunch of spot here. Lothario comes out and kills Jim Cornette. But then miscommunication leads to a Vader bomb. And this, of course, leads to Vader being the number one contender to Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam. Entertaining match. Loved it.
Yeah. And honestly, I will say this, that it's kind of one of those things where it's like, less we talk about Vader and Shawn, the better, because the build-up was, I want to say sad, to say the least. Cause,
the match was sad.
Well, it's one of those things where, you know, you see what they did here, and what could have been at SummerSlam, what could have been like future down the line. Shawn Michaels basically trying to defy the odds. It makes for the whole lot of sense. But the fact that Shawn is winning constantly, and then to the pay-per-view, he wins again, it's like, I mean, if you're going to get the same thing, then what good is that? You got to at least spice up a bit to make it think like, ooh, maybe Vader has a chance. If they would have had like Vader winning all the way to SummerSlam, probably would have been a different outcome. But Vader basically losing to Shawn every single time, just poor dude.
He was supposed to win at SummerSlam. The rumor and innuendo is that Vader was supposed to win the title at SummerSlam, but there was a spot in the match. You can see the spot in the match where there was a minor botch. Shawn Michaels threw a strop, and that was that. He would drop the title to Sid. Survivor Series 96 is a pretty damn good show. One to review, maybe.
I think we're definitely going to have to. But overall, guys, pretty good show. I mean, is it one of those things where it's going to be like, yo, instant classic? Well, no, but it definitely does have a couple matches there that probably don't have the right to be as good as they were. I mean, Mark Merrow, Steve Austin was really good. The main event was just absolutely great. And the opening tag team match, holy cow, that just four guys literally just laying it all on the line. All in all, International Incident turned to be international enjoyment for me.
Yeah, it was an easy watch. It was short. One of the reasons I picked this show. It was fun. I mean, I forgot how good Chris Candido was, Skip, but my goodness, that guy could go. If you want to see some good stuff with Candido, go from here back in time to ECW. Don't look up his WCW run from 2000 because it was just sad. But Candido was amazing, and he had Billy Gunn, who was young in the business at the time. And you're looking at all of this, and I'm looking in 2020 eyes. Where are all of these people? Well, we know if we've seen the dark side of the ring with Bart Gunn and the Brawl for All, you know, that's kind of sad. You know, Mick Foley is still pretty prominent on social media, and little bits and bops here. A lot of people are passed away, but look, and then you look at Billy Gunn. He is still going today with what was it? His son, the Gunn Show or the Gunn Team.
Yeah,
it's weird, but it's really neat. But I also, it just makes you remember what I was doing and who I liked and disliked at this point in time. Sid was my favorite, so more Sid for me is definitely good, and I was thoroughly sports entertained.
Yeah. So, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, more fun stuff. Because why the hell not? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
T-shirts and V-necks and sweatshirts and stickers, hoodies and tote bags and socks, blankets and pillows and onesies for babies, face masks, fanny packs, mugs, from YLP, Willie T, and King Ricky Rose, plus Kate Murphy, the HBIC, Mr. Fretz and Nate, and don't forget our delightful friend, the one and only Mance, 'cause we are war with the Teespring store, please give our merch a chance.
When you're told a secret, you'll do everything in your power to keep it. When it comes to the Secret Files podcast, the secret will never be told to you until you press the play button. Anything and everything is open for discussion. There are no limits to what will be discussed, and nothing is out of bounds. It's the kind of show that is willing to go out of its comfort zone and talk about topics that most people aren't willing to put into the open. The kind of show that can go from the serious and controversial to the fun and lighthearted and everything in between. When we all can come to the table, who knows what we'll be able to learn from the discussion. Make sure you head over to patreon.com/Wrestle Addict Radio and sign up for just $5 a month to be able to have access to this Patreon exclusive podcast. That's patreon.com/Wrestle Addict Radio.
What's up, everybody? This is Will Tarish from the Kings of the Rings podcast, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the Game Changer podcast. You are listening to the Game Changer podcast on Wrestle Addict Radio.
You know, it never really gets old that Willie T likes to talk about himself, but also be very selfless and talk about others. Welcome back to the Game Changer podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nate. He is Fretz. What a very unique deal for wrestling right now, because I will say this. There is a video that actually kind of spoke to me a bit about how much wrestling has been affected by this pandemic. Was by Plana Productions, and literally the title of it was "I'm Bored with Wrestling." I haven't gotten a chance to really watch it yet, but it's one of those things where it's like there's a lot of things that could probably cause it. Now, for me personally, I don't find it really that boring. I just don't have the time for it right now, with everything that's been going on with work, with everything that's going on with just life. Also, Fretz and I, we're proud uncles. We got little ones that rely on us more. We have our priorities. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, we got things that are going on in our lives. It's not that we hate wrestling. We just don't have as much time for it as we used to. But are we bored? Are we still bored by it? In all honesty, I'm not. I'm still enjoying it. I still love the fact that we got a Green Bay guy that has the Money in the Bank briefcase or lunchbox or whatever you want to call it. Just happy days for me.
Yeah, shout out. I know the company, the YouTube video that you're talking about. Well, not the video, but I know Piano Productions. They do good stuff. It's a bit of that, but it's also the fact that there is so much out there. Like, I want to watch Impact Wrestling, because I often, when I get off work, I'm always home late. I just, what am I going to do? Sit out on my porch and have a beer. I'll go on YouTube. And more often than not, J-Bone from Smash This podcast, fellow Wisconsinite to you, knows you. We've talked about us and that before. So I often tune into his shows, and I'm actually a moderator on his chat. So
nice.
We always shoot the breeze on there. He always plugs like the stuff that I put out. So shout out to J-Bone. Much love, good brother. He's a great dude. He used to be on Wrestle Addict Radio, so he's a heck of a guy, and he does a lot of Impact reviews, and Total Nonstop Impact is another one with a bunch of people. I'm pretty sure he's the reason Vince Russo follows me on Twitter. I'm not joking. He does, because I think he does some stuff with Russo, and they've been reviewing Retro Impact, and they had Goldilocks on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, former. If you might remember who she was, like a former backstage And anyways, yeah, it's just that it's overload. And just something in my throat, excuse me. It's not Rona, I swear.
Coronavirus.
I was a little dry, so much like my sense of humor. So we had here, there's so much stuff out there. Like, I want to watch Impact every week. I haven't watched Dynamite in I don't know how long. I do the YouTube highlights, like wake up, I'm on the can, I'll watch the highlights. But there's so much out there. I'm not bored with it. You know, Raw's product is really hit and miss, but for me, it's more fun because most Monday nights I've been live tweeting on the Wrestle Addict Radio Twitter account. And I might be kind of bored with it, but interacting and tweeting about it, for me, it makes the show more entertaining because I can laugh at myself and laugh at wrestling Twitter because, quite frankly, 90% of wrestling Twitter is laughable. Not in a good way. I'm not bored with it. Like, just before you and I got on here, I squeezed in NXT UK's return. It is so good to have. I mean, yeah, it's another wrestling show to add to my calendar because, you know, I'm still working 6 days a week, but I'm going to make NXT and NXT UK are priorities. I will watch them. And Raw, I will. Anything else can go by the wayside until I have more time on my hands. But yeah, I'll have to say here, we had all this stuff that was teased months ago, like Ilya Dragunov won a number one contenders battle royal, a grueling ass battle royal, by the way. And what happens on UK? Well, Sid Scala, the Dwight Schrute of NXT UK, assistant to the regional manager.
Great.
Yeah. He's like, all right, this is what's going to happen on Dragunov comes out. He's like, I want to fight. Noam Dar comes out. Okay, there's your main event. Get out of here. I'm loving, like, the Corona era is jarring because most of these places don't have fans, or they have the Thunderdome, which I tried 5 friggin' times to get on and never could. I'm not going to try again. I've given up.
Yeah,
I would get to.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I would get to the screen. It would be like, your call time is 7:00. So Friday, I had the night off for the first time ever. Like, 7:00. Ooh, I might be in the audience for 205 Live. It ever rises in action. I'm in. Like, please wait. The Thunderdome's full. Refresh. Because King Ricky said, hit refresh a few times, you might get in, you'll get in. 30 times later, fudge this, I'm just going to watch SmackDown on my telly instead. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I'm going to I think we should definitely, end the note on talking about the Thunderdome. I know that Kate Murphy, as well as King Ricky, mentioned, being a part of the Thunderdome, and they've kind of talked about some of the aspects that they have, moments where you cheer, and then moments that you kind of, boo, and that kind of deal. I am not a fan of that kind of aspect because I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to definitely make it more interactive, but at the same time, then that just means that it doesn't feel genuine. It really doesn't, because if they were to have it where people are watching it live in the Thunderdome, then let them react to it. Let them actually have that genuine deal. But if they're basically being told, hey, give us a cheer, give us a boo, feel sad, feel shocked, feel blah, 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 just have that kind of... I feel like it takes away from the actual moments itself. And it makes the wrestling more scripted than it already is right now. Yes, I'm one of those people that realize that wrestling isn't real. I know that's one thing that we can't really say too much about, but still, I'm enjoying it the way that I enjoy it. And one of the reasons why I enjoy it is because I'm not being told, hey, cheer for this person. Hey, boo for this person. If I want to do that, I'll do it. I'll go to an ACW show, and do you hear people tell me, oh, you should cheer for this person? Well, I mean, obviously, because there's some people that are just going to be douchebags about it. But at the same time, it's not one of those things where I'm basically being told, hey, you got to do this because it's going to match with everything else. No. If I like somebody, I'll cheer for them. If I like seeing Salem Crane get his butt kicked every single week, I'll still enjoy it. If I love Joey Avalon because he's one of the best in ACW, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the guy because he's literally asking every single night who wants to see a dead body. He's over just because he's asking for the act of murder. Yes, and it's amazing. If I want to
Jacobs.
Coda Jacobs. Coda Jacobs being Coda Jacobs. I'll cheer for him, I'll boo for him. I still have his sign on my car, and I got to get that thing fixed. It's one of the things. I will say this, that every single time I see him, he always asks, do you have the sign? It's like, yes, I do. It's really awesome. It's just one of those things where it's like, I seriously do need to get this guy on the show just to enjoy that, because I had such big plans for the year, and then COVID-19 hit, and it's like, crap, now I can't do the things I wanted to do, because I wanted to interview so many people on the show. I wanted to interview Coda Jacobs, Backwoods Brown. I think I had Stacey Shadows was going to be on the show at one point. I was going to try and get Cal Hero, one of our, honestly, statehood boys that just is killing it on the independent scene. He's a young kid, and he's just doing absolutely amazing. He's over with the crowd. He's a likable person. Just push this kid to the moon. I want to see him become heavyweight champion before the year's over. That's just me. But there's so much great stuff that a lot of people take for granted. Like, obviously, I know that there's a lot of stuff that, of course, you can't always get what you want. But at the same time, just enjoy the little things and enjoy the moments that you can spend with people and that you can enjoy in the wrestling community. And whether it's an independent show, whether it's just, watching some classic matches, which we've been doing for the last few months, because why the hell not? Just enjoy it. And it's going to be really awesome because I've already thought about what we're going to be reviewing next week, and it's going to be the show that got me into WWE, that being SummerSlam 2004. That's going to be an interesting show. Guys, do you want to know what we're in for? Well, let's look at a couple of these matches, because I'm going to tell you this right now, that we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, because we are, Ruthless Aggression is going to be reviewing 2004 when their next season comes out, and I'm looking forward to when they talk about this show. But to talk a little bit about what you can expect from 2004's SummerSlam, we had a 6-man tag team match that had the Dudley Boys and Spike Dudley taking on Billy Kidman, Paul London, Rey Mysterio. We had a Till Death Do Us Part matchup featuring Matt Hardy versus Kane, a triple threat match for the IC title. We had Eugene versus Triple H. Honestly, guys, it's one of those matches that is interesting to watch, but also enjoyable. Divas Dodgeball, which I will say this, Jerry the King Lawler's reaction after it is funny as hell. JBL and The Undertaker, and then a main event that some people are wishing it was forgotten, but at the same time, it did help one man get to the point that he wants today, and that being Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight title. I'm interested in seeing how that matchup holds up, which obviously it's not going to hold up as well because of certain someone, but this was Orton's first world title matchup. He definitely is going to be one of those things I'm going to be looking forward to. So 2004, SummerSlam next week. Enjoy the little things. Also, I'm not a fan of the Thunderdome. I'm not going to be a part of it. So if you're hoping to see me on there, don't hold your breath. It's not going to happen. I got better things to do with my life.
I tried, and it just wouldn't work for me. I wanted to. I really did. Because I just wanted to see what all this hubbub was about. Because I saw Issa, I saw Izzy, I saw Teddy Turnbuckle, the green puppet thing. Oh, yes, yeah. he got on there. Shout out to Teddy Turnbuckle. And Issa and Izzy. I think I might have saw. I don't remember seeing Ricky or Kate, but they did get in, and hearing their details were fun. I mean, you had Tom. It was probably Tom Phillips going like, "Okay, yeah, let's do this." I'm like, I'm okay. Here's Roman Reigns. I'll cheer. I would have done the opposite just to see what would happen. But yeah, SummerSlam 04. I think we were going to do that at one point, but we didn't get around to it. So now that we get to watch it, I'm looking forward to it because this was in Toronto. I wanted to go to this show, like every other show that came through Toronto that I could never go to. I'm still salty I didn't go to WrestleMania X8. I'm still salty about that. I
mean, you just missed out on Hogan versus Rock. It's no big deal.
My teacher, one of my gym teachers, went there and rubbed it in my face as much as she could. Miss Savage, or you're married now. You're not Miss Savage. No, that's her name. Her last name was Savage.
Oh my god, that's even
I'm not
better.
kidding. So it's like, everything. Hey, Fretzy, what? I saw Rock Hogan. Thanks, Miss Savage. Have a nice day.
Oh my god.
Under my breath, just
Oh my god, that's amazing. Only you, Fretz, and only in that term of events could that be possible. That's amazing. Fretz gets savaged by Miss Savage.
Yeah, and that's a shoot. She's a haul now, but man, it gets not worse. But here's the thing: I was dating a girl at this point in time. We were trying hard to get tickets to go. Like, it would have been like me and her family. She dumped me 2 weeks before this event. So had we gone, it would not have been a good time.
No, it would not. It would have been kind of awkward, but I think I could see you literally still getting into the matches. Just not going to be one of those things where you're just going to be celebrating with her because, no. Although there is the option to have that ticket transferred to somebody else, like a good friend.
She would have transferred it to her new boyfriend. She started dating 2 days later.
Well, what a bitch. Anyway,
I'm not gonna go that far. She was a sweetheart. So, yeah, wrestling's fun now. So I'm gonna say wrestling's fun. I can't wait for NXT UK next week. Next week we're getting Piper Niven versus Kaylee Ray for the women's title. Ooh. I mean, Pete Dunne is going to be there to draw the brackets for the Royal Cup, which I'm looking forward to. Ooh. There's a wild card entrant in this, and I thought it was going to be Pete Dunne, but I don't think it's going to be now. So I'm really interested to see, who it's going to be. Snowball's chance in hell. But imagine if it's Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Ooh, that would be great. No. It's going to be Nikki Cross. She makes her return to NXT UK. just because.
The Men's World Cup tournament? Okay.
and it's got to be, original Sanity Nikki Cross. Let's play.
Yes, please.
That would be great. So, guys, we are out of time for this edition of the Game Changer Podcast. A little bit early, but at the same time, I think it was pretty good. We got everything we got set up for next week. Definitely, if you are enjoying this episode, please, by all means, check us out on so many different podcasting networks, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. The list goes on and on. I could go crazy with it, but I've only got so much breath in my body. Definitely check out Mr. Fretz on the Twitter at the legendary JF and myself at RealFNGame. Or you could also listen to us chat about on the Wrestle Addict Radio Twitter at Addict_Wrestle. Be sure to also check out everybody else of the Wrestle Addict Radio family, including the Kings of the Rings podcast, Young Lions Perspective, as well as the Delight Show. Everything is absolutely amazing. Definitely check out our Patreon. Check out our merchandise on teesprings.com. We have our own merch store, so it's going to be absolutely amazing. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, definitely check out Mr. Fretz's Fave 5 on Patreon. It's always a lot of fun. And a future game show episode in which myself will be hosting and Mr. Fretz will be a part of it. Mr. Fretz, we're going to have to organize a day where you're going to be a part of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing how you fare with Mr. Jermaine's score.
I forgot about that again. And while I have this out here, yes, next week I will be doing SummerSlam 2004. However, the following week I'm going on vacation. So I'll probably be back on the Thursday, but I'm just going to take that week off from everything. I have preloaded all my Fave 5s for the entire month of September. They're already up on Patreon. They're just going to be scheduled for those days. It's NXT month, so you're going to get an all NXT themed. The 20 Bell Salute just dropped, and by the time you hear this, well, I put up a show on the Wrestle Addict radio feed someone took Friday off, and I took it upon myself to give everyone a sneak preview of what you can expect from a Fretz's Fave 5. So by the time you hear this, you will have hopefully heard that.
Oh no, so I'm looking forward to hearing that, and it's not even Friday yet. Well, it will be Friday. By the time it's posted up, it's going to be Saturday.
It is now.
Everybody knows what we're talking about. So guys, he's Mr. Fretz. I've been NateFNGreat. Thanks you so much for listening into our show. We'll catch you guys on the flip side, and remember, stay positive, stay safe, and know that take it one day at a time, because you can make a difference. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Adios.
It's me!
This has been a Wrestle Addict Radio branded podcast.